Ready to elevate your credit understanding and score? With insider tips and a plan, you can take action to improving your score, which can save thousands in unnecessary finance charges. Let's tackle today's topic with your coach, Credit Christy.
Hey, it's Christy, your credit coach. Thank you so much for joining me for another episode. Today, let's talk about smart moves with your tax refund. How could your tax refund boost your credit and build wealth? So what if I told you that your tax refund could be the key to unlocking financial freedom? Instead of spending it on things that fade fast, let's talk about how to use it wisely without feeling deprived. Many people see a tax refund as a chance to splurge, but what if you used it strategically to improve your credit and build long-term financial success? In this episode, we'll dive into smart, credit-boosting ways to use your tax refund. So in this episode, I want to tackle a couple of thoughts and suggestions on how to make your money be as powerful as possible for you. So the average tax refund is about $3,000. So how can that impact your credit and future finances? It's going to be how we perceive a tax refund. The reality of it, is it a windfall or an opportunity? And the difference in that perspective is it free money or is it a refund of your own money coming back to serve you and serve you well? And so why is the perspective important? If you see it as free money, innately inside of you, you might make a decision to splurge and splurge all of it. Go buy something that you're lusting over or something that will bring you a little fleeting happiness for the moment. But what if we looked at it instead of free money that you can just piss into the wind and have a little fun? If it's your own money and it's coming back to you to serve you, well, that's a powerful position, isn't it? So from that position in this perspective, my first suggestion is to pay down high interest debt first. Not only will it help reduce or eliminate what you're paying in interest, which if it's on a credit card, it's likely somewhere between 25 and 30% APR. Eliminating that will take some pressure off of you. It will increase your cash flow, but it's also a credit score booster. So I want to make sure you prioritize credit card balances with those high interest rates. If there's one that it seems like it's just not going away, your tax refund could have a really big and significant movement, helping move that big obstacle forward and out of the way. And then that means more of your monthly payment can go towards paying down that principal balance versus just feeding that very hungry interest monster. Now, if you have a small credit card, one that's just a couple hundred or a little bit greater than that, and you can eliminate it completely, you might want to consider starting there. And then that way, instead of having that monthly payment going towards it, keep it at a zero balance and have what you were assigning to that minimum monthly payment going towards your next highest debt. That is called the snowball effect, and you can really make some positive movements going that way. Now, paying off your balances lowers your credit utilization, and thus it increases your score. So what is credit utilization? All revolving accounts, which are credit cards and home equity lines of credit, have a utilization factor. And what this is the outstanding balance that you have divided into the limit that is available to you. So if you have a $1,000 limit and you have a $700 balance, that means you're at 70% utilization. This is what could really be hurting your credit scores. Paying a $2,000 or $3,000 balance on a maxed out credit card could increase your score by 40 points or more. And it happens as soon as that new balance is reported by your creditor to the credit reporting bureaus. And when does that happen? They usually report a couple of days around your bill cycle. So if your payment is due on the 19th of every month, they should be reporting that to the creditors within a few days before or after, usually before that bill date or your due date. A great rule of thumb is that you want your credit utilization to be 30% of what is available to you. So for every $1,000 that is available in a limit, you want to keep your balance at $300 or less. Now, you could also use your tax refund to build or rebuild your credit. So think about using your refund to pay off any collections. Sometimes you can negotiate a pay for delete if possible. If you want to know more about this, I've got an entire episode on this. But just a quick overview, sometimes collection agencies will delete that collection listing completely if you pay to them an agreed upon amount for it to be deleted. Now, a lot of times the original creditor can't or won't do that because then they're really blurring the lines of what is actual from what happened versus what's reporting. So the purpose of credit transactions reporting on your credit report is to help decision makers decide the level of risk by loaning money to you. And if that information is incorrect, well, that could impact their decision. If you had a bunch of collections and all of a sudden now they're deleted, it's actually misinformation going to a potential or future creditor that if they had known, may have made a different decision. So it's really important that the information is accurate, but sometimes a collection agency or a collection agency that's taken over for a collection agency will delete it knowing that the original information is reporting on your credit report. You could use a portion of this money to get a secured credit card. This is great if you have limited or poor credit. Meaning if you don't have a credit card that's in good standing and maybe your credit score doesn't exist because you're so new at establishing credit, or you haven't had credit your whole life and so a score doesn't appear for you. Or another option might be you went through a rough patch and you have some collections, some late payments, and there's a possibility your credit score is not in great standing. An easy way to have positive credit reported on your credit report is to get a secured credit card. So what makes it secured? It is your money that you're borrowing against. Perhaps you throw $500 at a secured credit card. Now you have a $500 limit or close to it, and you want to keep that balance very low. If you're starting off with $500, keep that balance at any time under $150. And I would encourage you just use that credit card for the things you're already paying for, like gas and groceries. Pay it off in full as soon as you're able to. Don't wait until that bill date. And then that way you can rinse and repeat, right? Just use it, pay it off. Use it, pay it off. Another option to build or rebuild your credit is to become an authorized user on another person's credit card. Again, I've got an episode or two completely that breaks this down in a lot of detail, but just a quick overview of what an authorized user account is you are borrowing the credit history of that credit card of somebody else's, and it all gets added to your credit report. So if you become an authorized user, say of your grandma's Discover card, and she has a $10,000 limit, a very small balance, but she's had this credit card for 15 years, you now get 15 years of on-time payment, that beautiful credit line of $10,000 and that very tiny credit utilization that she keeps. And now that is part of your credit profile. You don't ever need to use that credit card. You don't ever need to even know what that credit card account number is. You're just borrowing that trade line's history as it's getting reported on your credit report. It's a fantastic way to improve your credit very, very quickly, to add a trade line without going into debt. And if all that you have reporting on your credit report right now are late payments, collections, and nothing really in great standing, an authorized user reporting on your credit could really help your profile improve. And you could also start with a credit builder loan or a self-lender account. Again, it requires some of your own money to get that going, and it reports as if you have a loan out there, but it's just your money getting transferred from this one account over to this other account, and it's showing up as if you're making on-time payments. It's a great way to build or rebuild credit without going into debt, but it does require utilizing some of your money to get that account going. You know, Dave Ramsey starts off teaching the number one step in his baby steps is to start an emergency fund. Why do we need to start there? The simple answer is it prevents future credit damage. You can now handle an emergency. Life is full of all different kinds of things we get to handle. Sometimes it's an emergency, and it's often things we just didn't see coming. Have a $1,000 emergency fund so that you can stop relying on credit cards in a crisis. And if you don't have debt to pay off, Maybe you put the rest of your tax refund in a high yield savings account. Have that money make money for you. And then now you can invest in your future financial success with that money. Maybe while it's sitting in a high yield savings account, earning a little bit of interest, you can start thinking, dreaming, and setting goals for what to ultimately do with that refund. Perhaps it's a down payment on your home. Maybe it's starting a side hustle so you can increase income. But the most important step you can make in all of this is make a plan. I'm going to encourage you to put it in writing. When I put it in writing, it's real. Otherwise, it's just thoughts bouncing around inside of my skull. And if it doesn't get out of my brain, it doesn't usually get executed. So we need action steps, and I encourage you to write it out. So instead of letting your refund disappear, decide now where your money will go. Maybe you can call it a refund smart move plan. Maybe you have a percentage of it going towards paying down debt, a percentage of it going towards savings, and maybe a percentage of it going into investing. Maybe you have an Acorns account, or you've always wanted to start an IRA. This would be the time to do that because money grows over time. It's this compound effect that's so important. The longer it has to grow, the more it multiplies over time. And don't forget to put a little aside just for fun because balance is key. So before you spend your refund, take 10 minutes and plan out how to use it wisely. And then I'd love to hear from you. How are you making a smart money move? I'd love to celebrate that with you. Well, friends, thanks so much for listening. And if we haven't connected on social media yet, why not? You can find me at Credit Christy on TikTok, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. And until next time, my friends, stay well.
Subscribe now and share with a friend to stay in the loop for new credit content and insider tips to maximize your credit knowledge. And follow Credit Christy on Instagram.